Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at how you think they feel versus how they actually feel about you and the connection. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is this Amethyst cluster, along with these cards. Group 2 is the Lapis Lazuli, along with these cards. And group 3 is the Smokey Quartz, along with these cards. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps for each group in the description box of the video if you would like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we will get right into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Amethyst cluster along with these cards. So I'm going to start with taking a look at how you think they feel about you and the connection. So we have unawakened, unaware, 3D, ego, darkness. Your twin flame is not ready yet. Repression, someone does not express how they truly feel. And freedom, breaking the chains. So, looks like you feel that this person is unaware of the deep soul connection between the two of you, that they're holding back. Maybe a little bit of denial going on, somebody who could be receiving signs, receiving these clues from the universe, from their higher self about the greater significance of this connection, things that you're seeing, that based on the nature of these things, based on the nature of your experience, it would be kind of natural to assume that this person is also experiencing these things as well. But for whatever reason, they're choosing to ignore these signs, they're choosing to ignore ignore these sensations. There's a sense of this person also with this reference to freedom and breaking chains, this desire to move away from the connection, to move away from you, to almost combat these signs that they are getting, to fight this. Somebody who is choosing to remain in kind of a limited perspective of what love and connection means. Somebody who may be choosing to entertain kind of lower vibrational lifestyles, habits, even other relationships, maybe casual connections, or if this was somebody that was in another relationship, choosing to kind of stay in that cycle, maybe of some toxicity, some codependency going on, somebody who is resistant to breaking out of that comfort zone. With this repression here, though, it is a sense of knowing that you have that whatever they have said is in some way, it's obscures the way that they truly feel, or it might have been kind of a limited expression of the truth of their heart, the true nature of the feelings. Again, a very kind of this essence of a very palpable connection between the both of you. You could be meeting up with this person a lot in dreams. There could be a lot of telepathy going on. Again, a lot of signs coming through, maybe to you, and then this person in the 3D sense acting very contrary to that. Kind of what they're demonstrating to you being very much at the opposite end of the spectrum from what you are experiencing energetically with this person. So there's this sense here of feeling that you're almost in this awareness of the deeper implications of this connection alone. Not that this person doesn't see these things, but that they are choosing to fight that. They're choosing to look the other way, to put these blinders on, to remain almost kind of deliberately ignorant to the potential that exists here, just the very unique quality of the energy exchange between the both of you. So I'm going to get a little bit of tarot to get some clarification about this for you, about how you think they feel about you. Okay, so we have 10 of Wands, 4 of Wands, and 7 of Pentacles. So 4 of Wands can be often seen as the twin flame card, the 1111 card, so that can really tie in with maybe some signs that you are getting. Again, this sense of knowing that this person is your twin flame, or is a kindred soul, a kindred spirit, a soulmate, a twin soul, whatever title that you resonate with, that somehow this connection, the dynamic between the both of you, maybe some things that have been activated or awakened within you in terms of psychic gifts, or really being able to feel into this person's energy, feeling them around you, having all these kind of strange occurrences that are different from the ordinary course of events in other relationships you've had in the past, other experiences of romance in the past. But there's this sense here of feeling that this person is cognizant of these things, but with the 10 of Wands feels that this is a burden. This is something that, they need to, for whatever reason, repress their feelings. They need to deny their feelings, to kind of stuff those things down, or to try and push this connection away as very burdensome, very overwhelming, more than they are looking for, a little too intense for them. With the 7 of Coins, this can also, or 7 of Pentacles, this can also really tie into timing being a factor, divine timing. Again, other kind of things that they are choosing to focus on. Maybe some growing up that this person needs to do that they have just been kind of postponing, kind of letting go of a certain lifestyle, taking that next step in their life to, really start to plan for the future, to start to really kind of assess where do they want to be in 5 years, in 10 years. What does love mean to them? What do they want to experience in the long term in terms of love? But this seems to be something that they keep pushing off. They keep deferring this or avoiding this. Maybe they told you previously that, the timing wasn't just right, kind of this idea of right person, wrong time. And definitely with that energy of divine timing, there is also coupled with that a sense of procrastination. This person really, again, kind of avoiding the urge to dig deeper into these signs that they are getting, Somebody who is, maybe dismissing it, saying that they don't have really the time or the energy or the desire to focus on this intense connection, which from your end can be so unique. It can be so exciting. There's so much potential there that it feels very confusing how this person could not want to explore that, as scary as that might be, as kind of revolutionary as this might be compared to experiences in love previously. That it's not making a lot of sense to you how they can still, after all this time and with all these signs coming in and all these, almost like these coincidences, these synchronicities, these serendipity, how this person cannot be aware of something more to this connection. Maybe you have mentioned even to this person that you consider them a twin flame, a soulmate, a kindred soul, and it's something where they really just either gave no response to that or dismissed that, kind of denied that, told you that they didn't really believe in these things. And yet, as much as you both may have tried to kind of move in opposite directions, you even might have tried to kind of stuff these things away, to sort of push these things away, to disconnect with this person in some fashion, to kind of break those bonds between the both of you. This has proven a very difficult task, something which persists, something which you're unable to kind of fully disengage from. And there's a sense of this person, just still operating in that stubborn energy of kind of prolonging the inevitable, denying the inevitable, or almost like this feigned ignorance that they have of kind of the deeper implications here, the intensity of this connection, and kind of what that has led to in other areas of awakening within their life. So I'm going to take a look now at how this person is actually feeling, and we'll see if this matches up with what you are sensing, that they're thinking of this connection as too much, as too burdensome. It's something they're choosing to ignore. They're choosing not to participate in kind of the call that is being given to them to rise up into the next level of love. And it's a call that they keep blocking that, they keep denying that, they keep trying to skirt around that and continue to focus on things that are maybe a little less complicated, a little less intense, things that are more within their comfort zone. So we have twin flames: eternal love, reincarnation, passion, twin-seeking union. Lessons of Saturn: a soul's desire to resolve limiting patterns of control and dependency. Many challenges, but can bring benevolent long-term rewards. And courage: you are safe. Fear is an illusion. Set strong boundaries. So very immediately, this is really tying into the fact that even if this person is not really saying anything about this, not giving any kind of clues to you about a shift maybe in the energy they were previously in, this kind of unawakened energy, this energy of denial, some kind of a shift has taken place within this person. They are very much cognizant of this connection. Maybe again, you mentioned things like twin flames or soulmates that at first they could have been very dismissive of. But again, these signs that keep coming in, maybe seeing 1111 a lot, seeing your name a lot, feeling this very tangible bond between the two of you energetically. This person has kind of turned a corner in some way to where they might have started researching this, why they are unable to shake this connection, why they are unable to successfully kind of walk away, as much as they might have tried to focus on other things, why this keeps coming up, why this keeps reoccurring for them. And it almost seems like they might have not been open to the words that you had spoken, but with that Seven of Pentacles, they were seeds planted nonetheless, that as they've done some research, maybe hearing this from other people's perspective, maybe even starting to watch tarot readings about this, pickacard readings, and feeling that sensation of resonance within them that's beyond just the words that they're hearing. It's beyond kind of the symbols that they are seeing in the opinions of others. This feels very visceral. This feels very much like something almost like truth chills that this person is getting, this sense of deep resonance, things really clicking, things really falling falling into place to where they have started to open themselves up to this idea. The idea of this connection between the both of you being something very sacred, something very exceptional, something very much outside of the ordinary. This is definitely triggering as well with this energy of Saturn here. A lot of wounds within this person, and that really feels like a lot of what they have been running from, what they have been pushing away. This mutual intensity that has been felt has also helped within you and within this person to unearth some kind of deep triggers and some core wounds that are not necessarily easy to face. They are things that, you know, we all have this tendency to a certain extent and for a period of time, especially prior to kind of going through an awakening and really starting to engage in that shadow work within ourselves, that process of ascension, it's very natural to kind of take difficult experiences, things we don't want to face, things we feel guilty about, we feel shame about, things about ourselves that we have been taught to disregard or to dislike, and to take these things and kind of stuff them away in a closet, tuck them away in a box and not look at them. Almost this energy of denying, of kind of categorizing that in a sense of otherness, where we instead shift our focus onto almost this energy of putting the best foot forward, focusing on our best qualities. A lot of times trying to operate almost too much in our light characteristics while ignoring kind of those necessary shadows, that kind of counterpart of darkness that exists within us. For all of our wonderful qualities, there are things that maybe are less than desirable, but they still make up kind of this intricate fabric of who we are. And so I feel that this person has really turned this corner of starting to peek in that closet, starting to take the lid off of some of these boxes of kind of these core wounds, these triggers, these hurts that they have kind of kept within themselves. They've tried to just sort of push forward, ignore these things, suppress these things, deny these things. And the intensity and nature of this connection, it has brought up so much joy and so much potential, but also some of these, it has helped to unearth some of these kind of repressed elements of this person that they may have been projecting onto you. Almost this intensity that they might have been, again, sort of projecting onto you, onto the nature of this connection. It really relates back to this intensity of these unresolved factors within this person, these facets of their character, of who they are, of how experiences that they've had have shaped them, have distorted them, have contorted them, have almost made them wince whenever that's sort of coming into the proximity of that. Somebody who may have really started to question deep inside their worthiness of love and their worthiness of connection based on people in the past that were maybe careless with their heart, or ways in which they settled for less than they deserved in love. And so with this wave of connection, this activation, this twin flame energy, well, it brings in that, you know, that potential to really heal and to step into that best version of self, to love oneself completely, flaws and all, for both the wonderful qualities and the less than desirable qualities, learning to recognize and accept these things as, again, part of this intricate fabric of who we are as an individual, that without our shadows, we could not stand in our light, without, you know, kind of the necessity of both the darkness and the light, that yin-yang energy within everybody, the active and receptive polarity, the masculine and feminine within everyone. You know, it feels that this person has really started to open up to those qualities within themselves that they may have really not attended to up to this point. And so it feels like a very necessary energy to having pushed this connection away to a certain extent, a lot of this work being something that they really needed to kind of do on their own. Just like there's work that you've really needed to do on your own, that, you know, certain things the two of you have really triggered within each other, and kind of going off into your separate spaces to really dig through that, to really kind of get to the root of those things. A lot of courage is really being realized and is being activated at this point in time. Courage to face those things, those aspects that have been denied. Courage to really stand there in the face of fear, understand it for the illusion that it is, and proceed anyway. The courage to open up to love again after, incidences of heartbreak. The courage to step out into that unknown, the intensity of this connection, and sort of the potential that exists there. The potential for, greatness, and also the potential that, things might unravel in the future. And taking that first step anyway, not knowing what will come, but leaning into this space of trust, that whatever unfolds and whatever has unfolded in this connection is all for the greater good. It's all for kind of a higher purpose of the soul and the evolution of the soul and the understanding of the innate wholeness within the soul in this lifetime. So I'm going to get a little bit of tarot to get some clarification about this for you. Group 1, about how they are actually feeling about you. Okay, so we have the 5 of Swords, Page of Swords, and the Sun. So definitely some regret that this person is going through, feeling the loss of this connection in a more tangible way. Before they had kind of gone into that energy of pushing this away, suppressing this. The two of you were in sync at a certain point in time. You were very close. There was an intensity there. That palpable chemistry between the both of you. It was a crossroads. It was a point of choice to either lean further into that or to move further away. Neither choice was right. Each choice, leads to its own kind of lessons and blessings. The choice it seems that this person made was to move away from this, to push away this connection. And it is now in hindsight, now that they have really started to kind of look into their shadow, look into aspects of themselves and these distortions and how these wounds have really affected how they are receiving and experiencing and giving love, how they are able to sustain that within their life and within their etheric body. It's bringing them back to an awareness of almost this energy of knowing what they had now that it's gone, regretting a decision that was made to not participate more fully into this, to maybe not explore their feelings a little deeper as opposed to kind of pull back. And part of that is it's all part of this process of, recognizing choices that were made that one might have wanted to say, make it different, to do something different, and kind of working through that. The woulda, coulda, shouldas, and learning to come into this place of acceptance, that the best apology is changed behavior, that there's always an opportunity to kind of make a different choice in the future when presented with circumstances again, or it seems like in this case, the choice being for this person to kind of circle back to this connection, to make a choice now to invest more into it, to open their mind to it more with the Page of Swords. This is definitely somebody who has cut through denial and is very open to this, is thinking about this, is exploring this, and all of that really representing that act of change, that act of choice to do something different than they might have done in the past. With the Sun, they're thinking of you in a very positive light. They're feeling very uplifted and very empowered by this connection. It feels like these sort of lessons and these triggers that had come up within this person, these wounds, that were activated within them, We're really calling their attention to address these things that they might have run from, pushed away, kind of projected onto you in the past. They've not been able to successfully outrun these things. In other ways, in other forms, in other manifestations, these same kind of themes or archetypes have come up for this person. And so this does feel like somebody who has been in this process of needing to face these things, needing to address these things. The time is now to come to a point of resolution with these things. And the deeper they are getting into that space of healing, that space of facing themselves as in a complete picture, both the positive and kind of negative attributes of self, the light and shadow attributes of self, it is bringing them to kind of a point of awareness or clarity. It's giving them some kind of perspective that what they were really running from in this connection, the intensity of this was kind of the nature of this very profound love that they could have been very unaccustomed to. Their wounds would not allow them to really take in or sustain the belief that they were worthy and deserving of a very kind of beautiful experience of love. Some distortions within themselves who or parts of themselves that, again, really sort of had them feeling very unworthy of that, very inadequate for that. Kind of the otherness of this dynamic really had them kind of moving into that energy of fear, into that energy of loss, a lack mentality, a lack mindset. But as this butterfly here on the Page of Swords shows, there's a transformation that has taken place. This person is thinking of this connection in a different sense. They've moved out of this energy of viewing you and viewing this connection as a burden, to really feeling comfort, to feeling very soothed by this, as they're kind of going through this process of really coming to terms with some deep aspects of themselves and choices that were made in the past. It's almost like the bond that exists between the both of you, this twin flame connection, this eternal love. It's something that they are feeling in the etheric sense. It's something that they're getting a lot of support from your higher self. They're feeling love that you're sending to them, or they're even feeling that energy as you have kind of taken your focus off of this connection. You've shifted that focus to yourself. You're working on your own healing. You're no longer remaining stagnant or remaining in that energy of loss in your own right. You've taken some steps to kind of free yourself from that, to really extract the lessons out of this experience. And that act of utter self-love, of embodying that, it is reverberated to this person. It is templating for them kind of the steps that they need to take, that level that they need to reach. It has illuminated a horizon for them. So instead of just this kind of nebulous energy of the unknown that they were a little hesitant to step out into, the work you're doing on yourself and the way in which this person is now open to receiving and kind of flowing to some degree with the energetic bond between the both of you that is unable to be broken. It may wane at times, but it remains, it persists, it remains consistent. It is still there. It may flux, it may flow, it may feel very intense and very cold at times, but it is an eternal bond, and they are starting to really recognize that and cherish that, almost like an anchor to that is calling them. It's urging them to pull themselves up out of their own darkness, out of their own perceptions of limitation, out of who they imagine themselves to be, who they were showing up as in their life and in love in the past. And it's really calling them to elevate themselves, to imagine the best version possible, to imagine change in a very positive capacity, to imagine this state of wholeness where they have come to terms and they are accepting of all aspects of themselves, of who they've been, who they are, and where they want to go, to kind of pivot themselves to the next level of their experience in this lifetime, their experience of love, somebody who's opening up to a greater capacity, again, to love themselves, which then translates into a greater capacity to give and to receive love in the stance of this connection, in the kind of the parameters of this connection. So this is somebody who's opening up to their unlimited self, stepping out of those limitations, stepping out of those narratives, releasing stories of the past, resistance of the past, and somebody who has really kind of shifted their ideas about this connection, seeing this connection, and seeing you in a very positive light. A lot of gratitude that is coming through at this point in time as well, and somebody who's really kind of utilizing that to kind of work up the courage to face some things about themselves, to move through those illusions of fear, to set boundaries within themselves, to not allow fear to be a puppet master for them, to learn to trust in love, to trust in their heart, to trust in the universe, to trust in their soul. That fear is often it's a gatekeeper for great opportunities for change and growth, great opportunities for abundance, and kind of those voices of fear, or those sensations of fear. It's almost something. It's a challenge then to face that, to rise beyond that, to get somehow on the other side of that, through that and beyond that, to be able to experience kind of that bounty, that new territory, that new terrain that is waiting, this new abundance, this abundance of self-love, and kind of how that flows in and kind of reverberates out in other experiences as well. So a beautiful shift having taken place in terms of how they actually feel. It doesn't feel like any of this is really very evident in the material world, which could be why you're still feeling that they are still in that energy of denying their feelings, hiding their feelings, putting these deliberate blinders on to this connection. But on the internal plane, something has really shifted within this person. They're doing a lot of work within them. You might even be able to really at this point in time sense that kind of shift within them, sense movement within this connection, feeling the intensity of this bond in a new way. And so, definitely creating space within yourself, not for either or, but and, where both this person is not ready to take steps in the material world, and there is change that is occurring and that has occurred in that internal landscape. And kind of as time goes on and in this very organic way, slowly those 2 points can come to a place of balance within this person, which can then open up the potential for kind of a rebalancing, a recalibration of the dynamic between the two of you in the 3D sense. So I'm going to get a few messages from this person's higher self for you, group 1, and see what do they want to say. Okay, and they say, I'm afraid to love because I have been hurt in the past. So that was definitely coming up. People who were very careless with this person's heart in the past. This could have been their family of origin. They could have felt, very neglected as a child, or, that they weren't heard, that they weren't seen, they weren't recognized. This could even be, past romantic connections where, they allowed themselves to fall very deeply in love with somebody. They allowed themselves to open up, to let somebody in, and the ways in which that relationship kind of dissolved. It almost created this fear within this person that equated love and loss. And so this is one of these kind of these lessons, or these obstacles, these shadows, this illusion of fear that they're having to confront, having to recognize that despite whatever heartbreaks and disappointment had happened in the past, that the universe really gifted them the opportunity of a new experience in love, and not just a new experience, but a next level experience in love through this connection. And this person really having to face that they, had run from that. They had run from this wish fulfillment. They had run from that healing, from that redemptive energy. And so this is something that they're in this process of really recognizing that, really trying to kind of get to the root of that and to resolve some of that so that they can, learn to love themselves for what they have been through. Learn to love themselves for even some of the reactions or the coping mechanisms that they may have had, including keeping love at a distance, pushing this connection specifically away, learning to really accept these things about themselves, so then they are then able to, in a more complete way, open up to the potential of a new experience in love and in this connection in the future. And they also say, I know I am blocking the connection. I'm just guarded. So again, a lot of wounds within the heart space this person is dealing with, most likely related to love gone sour in the past, some kind of distortion that they had. This might have also been kind of a reason if they had chosen to, just remain in casual connections, or wanted to kind of date around, wanted to stay single, or even if they didn't have another specific partner in mind, just the ways in which they sort of pushed this connection away, maybe said that it was too intense, you were too intense, this was too much, they couldn't handle this, it was more than what they were looking for. And it's really because of, the intensity of that kind of knocking on the door of that pain, that kind of box of darkness within them that they had just sort of put on a shelf, they hadn't dealt with, and yet it was still kind of the odors of that, the vapors of that, having an influence over them, kind of reminding them of experiences that were less than desirable in love in the past. And so when love sort of presented itself to them again, and in the nature and way that it did with this connection, it really caused them to kind of put those guards up, set off those alarm bells of fear, of kind of entering into that territory of love, which in the past had been very painful for them. And they also say, I want to make things right. I choose you. I choose us being together. So that really confirms that turning point that has happened within this person. In some way, internally, they have started to look at these things. They've started to face these shadows. They have started to recognize how pushing this connection away was actually pushing away that redemption, that healing energy, that opportunity for a new experience in love than what they may have encountered previously. And so again, you might not be very aware in the 3D sense. They might not be reaching out. If they are still in your life in some way, it could be still kind of a cold and a distance to the connection. But on the internal landscape, something has warmed within this person. It's almost this energy of sunrise. There's illumination that is happening. There's a recognition that they have as well. For a lot of you, this can be that they are considering you their twin flame. They're considering you their soulmate, the kindred soul, the kindred spirit. For others, that's not really part of their lexicon. That's not really, part of their vocabulary or their kind of perspective. They are recognizing this connection as very impactful, very significant. They are setting you apart from the rest, and kind of holding on to that energy, holding on to that very unique point in their life as sort of a horizon to move toward. It's something where the energy, the bond between the both of you is really helping this person. It's encouraging this person. It's infusing this person with the knowledge that there is something more than sort of the pain and the wounding that they have just been living with. As uncomfortable as they may have been this whole time, it had become quite ordinary for them. And so even sort of the idea of the alleviation of that, the prospect of peace being very much outside of their comfort zone, outside of what was predictable and known. And so kind of the unusual aspect of that, as comforting as that might have been, it also just, very much outside of what they'd become accustomed to. So somebody who could have been, really resistant to that healing has now chosen to embrace that. And it's starting from the inside out. It's something where change that manifests within them, the internal work that they're doing within themselves to kind of bring that shadow and the light together, blend that, and recognize their wholeness, recognize that, no one aspect of themselves deserves more attention. It's not about starving out and feeding one polarity versus the other. It's about coming into a place of acceptance that all of that exists. All of that is necessary. It's necessary for the contrast that creates a dynamic and a more vibrant experience. It's all part of the makeup of the soul as it is manifest in kind of the human experience. So this person, again, coming to terms with where they've been, the tools that they were operating with, and learning to really accept these things, recognize these things about themselves, learning to really work with these things, to find some strength out of that, to crystallize some of these more difficult aspects of their history and who they are, to utilize that in some way to, make them wiser, make them more compassionate, make them more self-loving, or more aware of themselves and their tendencies, and kind of these things that have been ingrained within them, to break out of a pattern of just allowing themselves to be carried along, almost like fear being the puppet master, taking back control of that to some degree. Somebody who's taking, active steps within themselves to kind of make the choice for autonomy versus just allowing themselves to be, carried forth and to continue to operate out of that energy of distortion. So I'm going to get some guidance for you now, group 1, about the situation. Okay, and we have celebration, let go, and have fun. So this is really some guidance to, try not to focus too much on what is being displayed to you in the material sense. The silence, kind of the resistance by this person. There has been a shift within them, and it may take some time for that shift within them to reach a point of development where you are recognizing material change. But change, nonetheless, as we see here with this butterfly, has occurred. There's a transformation that is occurring within this person. So you're really being guided to, continue to focus on your own abundance, your own healing, raising your vibration, maintaining that high vibration, recognizing as well the work that this person is doing, taking the time to really pick through some of these shadows and these triggers that are coming up within you, not shunning these things, not rejecting these things, but learning these things, learning the nature of these things, learning to identify these things, understanding that, your shadow is just as important as your light, coming into that state of kind of dynamic wholeness within yourself, so that you can continue to, from the higher self level, kind of encourage this person while they are on that sort of process or journey in their own right. And by that same token, from their higher self, they are encouraging you with that as well. They're giving you that energetic support, the telepathy that's occurring, the way in which you're meeting in dreams, you're feeling their energy around you. All of that really being this person from, a more refined aspect of the higher self, reaching out to you, calling your attention to that truth so that you're not focusing too much on kind of the clutter and the distortion of whatever is happening with the 3D self, with the the ego mind, kind of learning to come to terms with that. So it's definitely a very positive change, a very positive turn of events energetically in this connection within this person that has taken place. And so again, to try not to focus so much on maybe what happened in the past and where this person was at. Holding out that hope of change in the future, recognizing change is possible at any point in time, and the only change that we can control is the change that we make within ourself. So really taking the time to not kind of dwell on the disappointments, but celebrate this moment, celebrate how far you've come in your journey. If you've really done some work to kind of let go of expectations, or the work that you've done to heal yourself, to really come to terms with aspects of self you might have been avoiding, or things that have really been triggered and have kind of come up through this connection. Now's the time to really celebrate that, to take a moment, to pat yourself on the back, to really applaud yourself and just bask in that. How much growth has happened, how much self-awareness has happened, how much you have raised your vibration, how much you have stepped out of the stories that you were told, or even projections that this person from a distorted place might have put on you. Really focusing on, recognizing that you are worthy and deserving of healthy and reciprocal love. You are whole just as you are. The only fragmented parts of you are the parts that you are, you're not recognizing. You're mistaking these things for lack, when in fact it's a different spectrum from kind of the fullness that you are experiencing in other capacities. So really taking that time to go within, to recognize both the higher and lower natures of self, come to terms with these things, come to grips with these things, and recognize your wholeness, your completeness in this moment. And again, keeping that vibration, embodying that vibration of unconditional love of self can, help to sort of encourage this person, and can help to, kind of bring you closer to that horizon of experiencing that reciprocal and healthy love, either from this person in the future, or from another partner who has done kind of similar work within themselves, who has reached that place within themselves, that dynamic place of healing within themselves. Love is your birthright. And the stories of the past, the experiences of the past do not need to dictate the future. You have this opportunity here and now to change how you are viewing the future, how you are viewing your own potential, and kind of the horizon that you are choosing to strive for. And it does feel like a very mirrored energy, the changes that are occurring within you. It's also occurring within this person. It's almost this idea of, maybe you're more expressive with these things, or even some changes in your material circumstance can really be that mirror for kind of that transformation that's taking place quietly and within this person as well. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 1, this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got C, K, D, G, F, S, L, A, X, O, T, and V. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry and some divination tools in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. group 2, you chose the Lapis Lazuli, along with these cards. So I'm going to start with taking a look at how you think they feel about you and the connection. We've got beliefs. Similar or clashing belief systems can bring you together or keep you apart. Red flag. Tune into the subtle energy you are receiving about this situation. Listen to the messages from your body. Trust your gut and your intuition. And resources. So this is definitely the energy of somebody who maybe feels that the two of you, or you're feeling that they are feeling the two of you are just too different to make it work. Maybe you have different belief systems, different religions, just different ways of looking at the world. One of you could be very logical, very practical, and the other person is kind of emotional and intuitive. Maybe somebody works kind of a corporate job, a 9 to 5, a suit and tie kind of job, and the other person, has a spiritually based business, works from home, something of that nature, and so just kind of people who are from two different worlds, maybe even kind of the family of origin that you grew up in. Economically, there could be some kind of a difference there, a geographic distance between you, to where this person is feeling, or you're feeling that they are feeling that there are just too many obstacles to make this work. There can also be, with this energy of red flag, a sense that maybe some things that have been triggered within them that are really have caused them, because of these differences, to kind of expand their perspective, to expand their mind a little bit, that it's made them very defensive. This is someone who's really clinging to their comfort zone, somebody who might be very rigid in their belief systems, even their belief systems about love and partnerships, and how that must look, how that must come about, how that must develop. Maybe the two of you are friends, and it's something where this person has told you in the past that they don't want to interrupt the friendship by opening up to a romantic component, or somebody who has let you know that they just don't see you in that way. They only see you as a friend. It's something that they don't feel the same. There's a sense of almost feeling this person with kind of this energy here on this card with this image of almost like a Spartan, like a warrior, somebody who's really fighting off this connection, really fending this off, somebody who's really kind of pushing you away. Somebody who's only focused on kind of the obstacles that you face and seeing these things as really insurmountable, to the detriment of the potential that exists there. In terms of the example with friendships, somebody who is, seeing that as an obstacle, because maybe they are not used to, in romances, having that foundation of friendship with people. They're not accustomed. It's kind of like they keep that energy very segregated. They have their friends, and then they have the people that they're dating. And so the idea of a crossover of these things could be very outside of the realm of what they have experienced previously. And they're very resistant to that. They're very resistant to almost doing things in the opposite way. Kind of that idea of friends first that then develops into something else. That could be, kind of, again, outside of what has been the norm for this person in terms of relationships that they have had in the past. Somebody who might be very, rigid in their traditions, or even kind of this belief system of sort of the progression of their life. Maybe somebody who, is really focused on kind of money and wealth, kind of making their name, setting their claim to their place in the world, kind of putting that flag in the sand and declaring, this is my territory, this is my accomplishment, this is my domain. somebody who could be very much, in that mindset that that's the priority, and who is really, looking at maybe the intensity and the nature of the bond between the both of you as almost a threat to that, something which could really compromise sort of this quest or this goal that they have, something that they've been working towards, striving toward, someone who's resistant to opening up in love because maybe they see it as a sign of weakness, maybe even the intensity of what they're feeling for you, feeling very compelled to open up to a tender side of themselves. It could be ringing these alarm bells for this person. Again, maybe some kind of belief, something that they were really enculturated with, or they were programmed with from their family of origin, that emotions are a sign of weakness, or to allow oneself to love too deeply is to open oneself up to loss in the future. Somebody who equates love and loss because of heartbreaks they've experienced. And so there's a sense here of you really feeling that they just have kind of dismissed this connection, too different to be compatible, that they feel too much for you, or too intense, or they're too attracted to you. Maybe you're too attractive, and it's something to where it almost brings up these feelings of like inadequacy within this person, or a sense that maybe they feel that it's there's too much chemistry between the both of you, and it's something which it's at a risk of kind of fading, of dissipating, kind of once that honeymoon stage passes. What is left, what remains? And so it's something to where they maybe have just sort of convinced themselves that, to feel those butterflies about somebody, as opposed to, just kind of feeling in a place of peace, that it's in some way a danger zone for them. And so kind of ignoring the intensity of this, the potential that exists there in this connection, because again, of kind of this deep awakening within them, this intensity of the nature of how they're feeling for you. And again, maybe just wanting to keep it as friends, or to, because of kind of the difference of this, the difference in their experience compared to love in the past, love with other people, really kind of pushing this connection away, fighting this off, fighting their feelings. So I'm going to get a little bit of tarot to get some clarification about this part of the reading for you. Okay, and we have Queen of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, and Four of Swords. So with this Queen of Wands can definitely tie in with that idea of almost the intensity of what they're feeling for you, that being very threatening to this person, or it has been in the past. A sense of, maybe being kind of nervous or uncertain because you're very attractive. Either your energy is very attractive, you're very magnetic. Maybe you are somebody who is very successful in your life, and it kind of brings to mind sort of what this person still needs to work on, and so they have kind of pushed that away, or some kind of a fear that there would be too much competition for you, and it's something to where they almost have felt that it would keep them in this constant state of battle, to try and keep their place in your heart, or to fend off other potential suitors. And it almost seems like that it would be too much effort as compared to the reward, or something where they would always need to be on guard. They would always need to be cautious. Somebody who's kind of resistant to move into that energy of trust. Somebody who's really resistant to just allow themselves to flow with this. Somebody who is maybe just used to kind of people or partners that are very much, in alignment with them, in alignment with their beliefs, with their cultures, a similar type of job, a similar type of upbringing, a similar type of family, and this connection, something about this, something about you being so different from that. The sense here of this person feeling that, it would lead to kind of this sense of loss in the future. It's something that it's not sustainable. It's lacking that foundation even to really thrive and survive. With this Ace of Pentacles, this can also talk about, again, this priority that they are placing maybe on love as second to whatever it is that they are focusing on, that they're seeing this connection as a distraction from some other goal that they are trying to work toward. Somebody also who, with this, this Four of Swords here, is resistant to the signs that they are getting. Somebody who is closing their eyes to these things. Somebody who, is not participating in that. Somebody who's not willing to give this another consideration. Somebody who's just very set in their ways, is very closed off to that, or who might be very logical in their perspective of things, and that kind of coming at the expense of anything in the heart space. Somebody who's, allowing that ego mind to really determine their actions forward, as opposed to taking the voice of their heart into consideration as well. So now I'm going to take a look at how they are actually feeling about you and the connection, and we'll see if this kind of fits in with this. Somebody who really, is just looking at things from the surface level, from a very logical perspective, focusing too much on the differences between the both of you and the obstacles, as opposed to the potential that exists there, and trying to kind of take that logical mind and use that to strategize a way beyond this. So we have mirroring, reflection, twin, wholeness, synchronicity abounds. Dreams, important dream messages are being given. And flow, find an easier path forwards. Surrender the outcome. Release your expectations. So definitely this energy of kind of fear and resistance within this person. It seemed, and the fear that you have that, they're overly focused on kind of the differences between the both of you. This is part of their fear as well, that if you scratch very deeply beneath the surface of them, if you enter into, a relationship with them or continue a relationship with them, that you will discover things about them that you will deem too incompatible and will then discard them in the future. This seems to be a very major fear for them. With that reference to dreams, they are seeing you almost as this dream come true, this wish come true. There's a feeling of significance about this connection, a feeling of resonance that they have with you. But it's also bringing up again a lot of those fears, a lot of these triggers within them. They are seeing you. They are seeing that potential in the same way that you are. And at the same time, there are obstacles that they are cognizant of, obstacles in the material sense, obstacles within themselves. This person is starting to kind of ease up on some of that rigid energy. This is somebody who is starting to try and take steps into flow, into trust, somebody who wants to believe in this love, who wants to believe that, the dynamic between the both of you is enough to carry you forth into the future together, that, surrendering to that trust, that, the more you are able to get to know each other and really touch upon each other's energy, get to experience each other and kind of build upon this spark, this attraction, this magnetism between the both of you. Somebody who's starting to kind of lean into that space of seeing that is very important. Somebody who is, really starting to kind of decipher and differentiate. Although the kind of surface aspects of this connection or certain, components of it might be very different, that there are things about the two of you that just work. With that reference to twin, this really brings to mind this yin-yang energy. Almost like, yes, the two of you are very opposite, but just in the right way, that your kind of strengths and your deficits are very well matched. This person, maybe as other kind of things are coming up in their life, other instances, and they're starting to recognize how they've kind of limited themselves in terms of the people they've surrounded themselves with, the experiences that they've had, the belief systems that they've had. And whatever your unique perspective is, it's kind of opening the door for them to sort of shift out of a limited view of reality or a limited experience of reality in relationships. It's something to where there's a yearning for that. There's an urge for that. There's this desire to move toward that, as much as they, are trying to kind of fight off and fend off to some extent this energy between you, this compulsion to move in your direction. There are a lot of signs that are coming through. They're probably meeting with you a lot in dreams, or getting some kind of clues and hints that kind of this resistance that they are having, that it's maybe not a red flag, but almost a false flag. That it's kind of this fear of this otherness, or this fear of the next level of what is possible for them in love and connection. Fear of aspects that you are mirroring to them that reside within themselves, almost like a fear of self, a fear of looking in the mirror, and ways in which they might have kind of put you on a pedestal or projected upon you, are actually qualities that they themselves embody, but the positive and the negative aspects of this connection and of you, as far as how they have kind of determined that or really evaluated that. So this does feel somebody who is very it feels very accurate that there's a lot of resistance that's happening, but there's starting to be some breakthrough with that. That kind of clenched grip that they have on their belief of what love and life should look like. It's starting to give way to kind of an ease. It's starting to give way to thinking outside of that box, to stepping outside of those parameters, to starting to focus on what could go right as opposed to only what could go wrong, to starting to take into consideration and really value the differences between the both of you. This very unique quality of, despite these apparent differences, that there has been this magnetic connection between the both of you. Somebody who's starting to really kind of penetrate deeper beneath the surface appearance of this situation. Starting to kind of scratch beneath and dig into those deeper layers of the significance of this connection, why the two of you have interacted in this lifetime, why they feel this bond for you, why they feel this, very drawn to you, very magnetized to you. Fears that are coming up for this person, and really starting to face these things, starting to step into that place of trust, expecting that, things can go well for you, as opposed to just dwelling on what possibly might go wrong, what might crumble in the future. And so any kind of fears and doubts that you are having about where does this go from here, very much this person is having that as well. Kind of this idea of, well, where does this go from here? With this knowledge, or even just kind of that grain of interest, feeling very compelled to you, contemplating what actions might be possible with that, what to do with this, what can this become, and stepping into that place of, allowing their mind to wander, allowing themselves to dream, to open up to the possibility of wish fulfillment in the form of this connection, in a package that is different than what they might have, perceived as kind of the proper way that love should unfold, or the type of partner that they were looking for. Somebody who's starting to recognize, the differences between the two of you as actually the makings of an interesting relationship, of a relationship that can remain dynamic, that can remain fluid, where you can both challenge and encourage each other to transcend boundaries and barriers within self, to widen each other's perspective to, a new way of looking at the world, a new way of experiencing the world. Somebody who sees this connection and sees you as something where you could both learn a lot from each other. You have a lot to teach each other. That in some way there's a lot of growth that can happen at the soul level and at the consciousness level through this connection. And so a lot of that really coming in, a lot of this awareness coming through in the form of downloads. Kind of in the times where, the gatekeeper of the ego is sort of at bay, during sleep or during times of, being engaged in kind of mundane and routine activities. And then these thoughts sort of come in, these downloads, these sensations, not at a point where one is deliberately thinking about these things, but very spontaneously. And it feels like kind of these epiphanies, these aha moments that are helping to kind of break down some of those barriers, some of that resistance, getting this person to clench a little less tightly to their view of reality or their view of loves, or even their perception of what is possible, what this connection has the ability to grow into. So I'm going to get some tarot to get some more clarification about this for you, group 2, about how they are actually feeling about you and the connection. Okay, so we have the 5 of Cups, the 6 of Pentacles, and the 2 of Cups. So with that 2 of Cups, they're definitely recognizing you as a soulmate, as some kind of a kindred spirit, some kind of a bond between the both of you that transcends kind of physical experience or culture or background. It's something at the soul level where they're recognizing this compatibility with you, the sense of knowing. They could feel almost a past life connection. Maybe this is something even where you have experienced that, and these kind of the idea of that is very much outside of the scope and the realm of how this person has kind of imagined reality, how they have imagined themselves in kind of the perspective of time and space, the journey of their soul, kind of the purpose of life, the point of life, and the experiences that happen, the lessons that are learned. But it's something where this connection is starting to open that person up to kind of these other perspectives, these other layers of themselves, the significance of you, which is then causing them to kind of investigate and contemplate even the significance of other people in their life, the path that they are on, the path that they have chosen for themselves, belief systems that they have that might at one point in time have resonated with them, but they're feeling this urge to kind of grow beyond these things in some capacity, or to kind of explore these things, or kind of digest these things and understand them, see them from a different level, kind of turn that perspective, almost this idea of facing like they feel like they've almost been kind of facing this dwelling, kind of on the outside looking in through some windows, and then they are kind of, this connection sort of brings them inside, changes that perspective, where now they're on the inside looking out. They're starting to really, explore that inner terrain a lot more, as opposed to just kind of focusing on the material on the surface. This is somebody who's really being introduced to kind of that internal landscape in a new way, and it's through this connection. It can be through things that you have said, things that, maybe kind of belief systems you have or practices you have that have really might be very triggering for this person, might be, very, because it's outside of their comfort zone, it's outside of their perspective. But something has really taken root, something has really opened up. They're starting to kind of let down those defenses, let down those walls and barriers, and kind of open up to the possibility of what if, starting to sort of see things, see the world through your eyes in a sense. This 5 of Cups can talk about a feeling of loss that they have connected with this, a feeling of regret at maybe having pushed away this connection in the past, or being very resistant, not seizing that opportunity, maybe where you tried to offer them a cup of love, or tried to kind of move the connection, move the dynamic to the next layer, to the next level, really opening up and being vulnerable, and you were met with some, kind of resistance or coldness, or just that very logical and ego sort of energy from this person. And now that this kind of softening is happening with them, this process of surrender within that is happening, there's this feeling of regret at, opportunities that they had, that they could have given more, they could have done more. If they pushed you away and were very, aggressive with that, there's a feeling of regret at not having been softer, not having in some way communicated that, maybe there was just some intensity and they needed to slow things down. They needed to, needed some time to think. Instead, they just, put up that rigid stance and just sort of pushed you away, left you with a lot of questions. And it's something that this person is really thinking back on. With the Six of Pentacles, there is this desire to reinvest or to give more to you, to this connection that they had in the past. There's a desire for closeness, to spend time with you, to exchange ideas with you, to exchange energy with you. Again, really this person seeing this connection is very valuable, that you both have a lot to teach one another, and that you both have a lot to learn from one another. This person feels like somebody who is occupying both that stance of the teacher and the student, somebody who's really looking to you as somebody wise, somebody who they are also looking at you as some kind of knowledge or wisdom that they have, that you are almost somebody who would be able to receive that, who would be able to, understand that, maybe even receive parts of this person that they have kind of kept hidden or kept kind of close to themselves, that they've not really shared with others. There's this desire to share these layers, to get to know one another, to really build this relationship, to build that basis of friendship, of really familiarity with one another, or if you have that basis of friendship, to really invest in more, to invest in the enrichment of this connection, and taking things a step farther, maybe slowly though, bit by bit. This feels like someone who is, they're still very much clinging to that comfort zone, very much clinging to that fear, these deeply ingrained kind of beliefs. These are not easily loosed from this person. This ego is presenting itself as a formidable adversary at this point in time, to where the more they try to lean in and explore this and kind of soften into that, almost these triggers occur, or again this idea of these false flags, kind of this energy of worst case scenario coming up. So this does feel to be very delicate, this process of them opening up more fully to this connection and being willing to participate in it in a different way than you've experienced up to this point in time. But there is this energy of a lot happening in the subtle realms, kind of slowly this person warming up to this, slowly this person starting to peer at this, starting to peek at this from a different perspective, from a different vantage point. Somebody who's starting to really entertain the notion that you could be the one they have been looking for. You could be this soulmate, again, in a very different package than what they might have originally anticipated. But this is someone who is starting to look beyond the exterior, look beyond the circumstances, see into the soul, see into the energy. Somebody who's really starting to trust in that. Somebody who may have also had a very definitive idea about who is their twin flame, who is their soul, who is their soulmate, who is the one for them. And something about this dynamic, this connection, has really sort of triggered and activated this awareness that they might have been incorrect in that. Or if it was, kind of a soulmate dynamic, that some kind of an evolution is being, this person is being invited to participate in. And so, souls that might have resonated with them very compatibly in the past. It almost feels like, a new leg of their journey, a new leg of ascension that is being opened up for them, to where souls they had resonated with in the past can't come with them on this journey that they are embarking upon. There's this sense of companionship, of you being somebody in some level to walk that road with them, that road to self-discovery. Again, this dynamic of really the two of you having a lot to teach and learn from each other, very much mirroring that. And really this person feeling that and having some resistance to let go of, a plan or an idea, a concept of love and relationships. But somebody who, is again, it's hard to see on this card here, but this figure is levitating. So this is somebody who's transcending that, somebody who's starting to see from a higher perspective, somebody who is, coming off of that very rigid stance that they had and is, starting to open up and experience and starting to accept and embrace you in this connection from a higher plane, a higher plateau. Seeing this as a connection that, can really open them up to some very profound growth, a connection that, based on the dynamic between the both of you, that there's a bond, there's an intensity to that has this ability to, transcend those barriers, has this ability to grow into an experience that is very uplifting and very enriching for the both of you, and very outside of the realm of what you might have thought possible in love. Again, this idea also of also with that mirrored energy, really kind of this idea of a wild card, that you came into this person's life very unexpectedly. Maybe they also came into your life very unexpectedly. The two of you having, a very set path or a set idea of, who's the one for you, the type of partner you were looking for, how that love would unfold, and kind of this connection coming out of nowhere almost, really sort of setting those plans asunder, really opening up the possibility, revealing a door from the, provided by the universe of more than you could have imagined. Even just in the very kind of immediacy of your connection and what you've experienced so far, there being this pull, this energetic pull, that there's so much more to this than either of you could imagine. And so some resistance may be happening with the both of you, and especially with this person, that they're starting to ease into. They're starting to really, quietly and in their own way and through reflection, start to recognize that, what they had been running from was maybe exactly what they had been looking for the whole time. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you now, group 2. Let's see, what do they want to tell you? Okay, and they say it's hard to admit that I was wrong. So again, some kind of way that they misjudged you, prematurely judged this connection, really felt that the two of you were too opposite to be compatible, or even ideas that they might have had about somebody who they considered their one, the person they were looking for, their soulmate, their twin flame, or even the type of person that they had envisioned as that life partner, as that very compatible energy for them. And this idea really being called into question, really being kind of torn asunder in some way, and a difficulty that this person is having in kind of relinquishing those ideas and letting those narratives go. Somebody who, is having a hard time kind of bringing that knowledge forth into the material realm. They could be coming to you in dreams, maybe even offering some kind of an apology in that sense, or they could be doing that in the very near future, kind of reaching out to you etherically to sort of present that loving energy to you, that at the 3D self, they're just a little too guarded. They're a little too reserved at this point in time. They're still fighting that off within themselves. This urge of their heart to really unfold and open up into this connection, and the ego just keeping those barriers up, trying to keep that establishment in place of how they view themselves, their wants, their desires, what that plan looks like, how that must unfold, the timing and the circumstances, or even the specific individual. It feels that all of this has really been kind of shaken awry within this person. You've had some kind of effect upon them that has really caused them to, push this away, to need to really go within. But that change, that awareness has really, it's happened with them. And it's something that they're, slowly leaning into. They're stepping closer and closer to that, to reach out either with some kind of a direct apology, or to just invest more in this connection energetically, or spending time with you, talking with you, maybe even as you're talking, the things that they are saying, allowing more of their heart to be displayed, allowing more of that tenderness, being more receptive to the loving energy that you have to give, focusing on kind of enjoying one another's company, as opposed to, really picking apart everything that is said and done, and trying to find reasons why that can't work. And they also say, I want you. I want you in my life. I see you as my future. So there again is that awareness of this connection being something very significant. This person is definitely aware of you as a soulmate, maybe even as a twin flame. They're aware of some very profound connection between the both of you that far exceeds anything they have experienced or that they could have imagined in this lifetime. There's an aspect of themselves that is also starting to kind of come with that, on that wave of awakening, other parts of themselves, pieces of themselves that are starting to fall away so that a new version can emerge. And there's a feeling of camaraderie that they have with you, kind of similar experiences that you might have had, or again, kind of that scenario of someone who might be very logically based and maybe you're more emotionally based, and sort of the work that you've done on yourself and this person just starting to embark on that process, and they're really envisioning you as somebody who can, empathize with them, who can understand what they are going through, somebody who on the other side of this transformation is that vibration, is that match, something you hold within yourself, something that you carry within you, something that you exude, the ways in which you love yourself and really bring that out. It's something this person is striving toward. It's something that they want to reach, that they want to attain. And as far as everyone that they have encountered up to this point in their life, you definitely stand out from all the rest. That at a period of time that could have really kind of brought up fears for this person, but it's starting to draw them toward that, draw them to that place that they too want to step into, that energy that they want to embody, that they want to become. A shift and a change that is taking place within them, almost outside of their control. And the more that they are unfolding to this, the more they are starting to recognize this subtle compatibility between the both of you. Kind of that definite yin-yang energy where you really balance each other out. You can be so very different and yet so very complementary at the same time. And they also say, I realized what I lost when I let you go. I've loved you all along. So they're starting to really lean into those feelings, into that truth within themselves, that regret for not having made more of the opportunity that they had with you, taking advantage of that by expressing their feelings, seizing that opportunity, kind of some of that energy of sort of regret and guilt that they're needing to work their way through in order to create a new opportunity with you, to kind of course correct from wherever the two of you find yourself. Somebody who's starting to kind of move beneath facades and move beneath sort of the external factors of the apparent differences between the both of you and tap into that heart space, tap into that very kind of watery and emotional energy. As we saw here with these two cups in this section here about how they're actually feeling about you, and that very, again, this emotional energy as a contrast to kind of the swords that were coming through and the pentacles in this other section, this kind of mental energy, this very materially based energy, that there's a shift that has occurred within this person. They're starting to listen to their heart as far as how they feel about you. They're starting to really explore that. What does this mean? Where can we go from here? Starting to kind of embrace that, to let go of sort of the rigid stance that they had before, ideas and perceptions that they had before about love and about partnership, even about a particular person they had considered to be that well-matched individual for them. And there's a sense of, coming into that space of recognizing that at a core level, at a soul level, that the two of you are in fact the most suited to one another. You are the most conducive to one another in terms of kind of this dynamic and perpetual energy of challenging and encouraging each other to continue to, strive to exceed limitations from self, from the outside world, to continue to explore and to learn and to grow, that energy of the student and the teacher, really seeing this as a connection, and the energy between the both of you is something that can, you can continue to encourage each other to really step into that best version of self, to maintain that, to not sort of settle into complacency, but to continue to strive, to continue to reach, to continue to accept opportunities for newness and expansion of potential and expansion of of understanding, a connection that, you know, really can, again, challenge and encourage each other in some very subtle ways, and ways in which, you know, you might not have been able to experience with others in the past, or might not have felt very comfortable doing with others in the past. But there's a sense of this person really leaning into the space of wanting to break out of some kind of mold, break out of some kind of a conditioning, a pattern, or even these belief systems and mindsets that they may have thought made the two of you just too different. There's a sense here of wanting to kind of bring you into their life in some way, making space and room for this love to coexist. This energy of starting to be okay with relinquishing things that do not sort of facilitate the growth and the sustainability of this very vibrant and nurturing experience that they have with you. Kind of this layer of love that they've tapped into, that they've experienced at this point in time, it's fulfilling parts of themselves that they didn't even know were vacant. This person really starting to kind of step into a wider awareness of themselves as an individual, as a soul, and really stepping into, you know, kind of a deeper understanding of the nature of love, and moving slowly toward making some kind of change in the material world, and moving slowly toward kind of fully embracing that and accepting that within themselves. So I'm going to get some guidance for you now, group 2, about the situation. Okay, and we have choices. Make the best choices. So this is really encouraging you to continue to move forward on your path, continue to maintain that very unique vibration that has awakened this person, that has almost startled this person in a sense of really causing them to question the way they've been leading their life, or the priorities that they've had, the goals that they've had, the visions that they've had, the ideas that they've had. You know, you have a choice to continue to move forth, to continue to keep your heart open to love, to not allow maybe the rejection from this person, as tangible as this experience might have been, and as disappointing as that could have also been, to experience resistance from them. You're now at a crossroads of, do you keep your heart open? Do you keep hope alive, either of this person catching up with you further down the road, or, you know, making that choice basically to not close yourself off to the potential of deep and meaningful connection and a profound level with others in the future. Just because this person wasn't at a place of being able to sustain that or receive that in just the right way, it doesn't mean that they will always be at that place. Allowing them that space within them and within their life to make that choice, to choose this connection, to choose expansion and growth, coming to a place of peace within yourself also, for the possibility that they will not choose to do that, that they will choose to stay, you know, kind of within those limitations within self, recognizing that, you know, either choice brings its own sort of share of blessings and lessons. Understanding as well that, you know, again, you have the choice to continue to move forward on your own healing journey, your own loving journey. If this person, this intense connection, chooses not to do that work to kind of rise up beyond their limitations, and meet you at that level, you know, the universe will definitely then provide you, or, you know, bring you into proximity of somebody who has done that work, who has transcended these boundaries, these barriers. Not everyone who is touched by your very unique vibration also will make that choice to run. That's the other kind of reassurance with that, to continue to, you know, make that choice to embody your authenticity, to embody your most beautiful self. Because as intense as that might be for people, as much as you might, you know, really have sparks of connection with individuals where there's a lot of other circumstances, or, you know, a lot of other kind of conditionings or fears that stand in the way, the bottom line is not everybody will make that choice to run. Not everybody makes that choice to run from love. There is a choice to run towards it. And by you taking control of that destiny, in a sense, by choosing to remain open, choosing to remain optimistic, choosing to, hold this person even in a loving space within your heart while you are also moving forward on your path, while you are also moving forward on, in your life. You're choosing to kind of sustain and embody that loving vibration, to kind of practice what you preach in terms of, self-love, in terms of, maybe ideas and concepts that you have about, souls and about soulmates, and even about like a twin flame, holding that person in that very loving space, and honoring their choice to either do the work necessary to meet you at that level, to make this connection work, or honoring that choice that they have the ability to make, to remain in a certain level of experience, to choose not to answer that call. And really, the choice that you make in this circumstance to move on in another direction in romance, to kind of close this out, to kind of write this connection off and set your sights elsewhere, or to choose to, move forward in your life and kind of keep the door open for this person. Keep yourself receptive to this person if they choose to kind of make that shift and make that change and kind of soften that defensiveness and start to invest more in this connection. Either choice that you make will again come with its own sort of series of lessons and blessings. There's no wrong choice in this circumstance. This interaction with this person has triggered something, that mirroring energy within the both of you. Those wheels have already been set in motion. And so you're really guided to, again, focus on what are you going to choose to do with this experience, with this dynamic vibration, with this activation, with this knowing that, deep and next level connection is available. It is out there. It exists. Using that to kind of shape and create the life that you want to experience, the abundance that you want to experience in other ways. Choosing to do that healing work within self, choosing to maintain that vibration of love as deeply as you are able to, and as consistently as you are able to. By making that choice, then you can help to really affect the other outcomes that you experience in the future. You can help to kind of shape and determine other types of people that magnetize themselves to you. Similar vibrations, people that have, again, done that work on themselves, that have done that healing on themselves. Free will is something, it's kind of a double-edged sword. We have the choice to act or not to act. We have the choice to do the work or not to do the work. The call has been registered by the both of you. Something has really been shaken within the both of you. And the guidance is to, just as difficult and as frustrating as that sometimes can be, but to really just step into that place of acceptance of this person's ability through free will to either answer that call, do the work necessary to meet you, or to continue to remain stuck, or just dwelling at a different kind of level of experience. The choice is yours to continue to move forward, and you're definitely advised to continue to prioritize your own kind of well-being and your own sort of sense of self. Prioritize things which bring you joy, which make you, feel seen and recognized and heard. That there are others out there who will choose your company. There are others out there who will, not look at you as too much or too intense or too different, but who will see you for, the very unique treasure that you are, the unique perspective that you are. There are others out there who will see that you fit in their life, or who will make room for you in their life. That whatever has happened and will happen with this person, it doesn't need to determine the final, destination of what you are to experience in love in this lifetime. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 2, this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got V, R, E, L, D, Y, W, B, F, S, and see. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry and some divination tools in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 3. You chose the Smokey Quartz along with these cards. So I'm going to start with how you think they are feeling about you in the connection. We've got release, loosen your hold, relax, unwind, release fear, anxiety, and doubt. Take a chance. You can't grow in your comfort zone. Stepping into the unknown is trusting the universe. Go for it. And culmination, completion, and renewal. So this is definitely an energy of feeling that this person considers that the connection is done, that it's over, that there is not really anything left to say between the two of you, that there's nowhere to go from here, nothing productive that can happen. With this energy of take a chance, this feels like somebody who is not wanting to seize the opportunity to have a fresh start. Somebody who you might have left the door open for them. You might have wished them well and kind of let them know you would always be there for them, or you would always care for them, and to reach out if they ever needed anything, for example. And this person maybe not taking advantage of that opportunity, not ever reaching back out to you. Somebody who you just never really heard from again. And it seems that it's kind of this energy of out of sight, out of mind. A sense here that this person feels that, you know, there's no really hope for renewal here, that it's not a connection that they are, you know, willing to invest any more time in, that they have just kind of released this idea of the two of you being compatible, the two of you working, of there being any way to maybe even overcome some difficulties that you've faced, somebody who's not interested in working through these things. Somebody who may have moved on in another sense, somebody who may have forgotten about you completely. The sense also of feeling that they, you know, are almost glad that they didn't take a chance on love. This feels like a very kind of wounded energy, a very painful energy, that kind of a duration of silence, or this person really not coming back around, that being very kind of painful for you. There could have been certain events that happened in your life that you had really you had expected to sort of hear from this person, maybe some kind of a loss that you experienced, or even some kind of a milestone event, and maybe like a birthday, for example, and you were really thinking that you would hear from them, that would be the time when they would that they would say something. Maybe you were getting a lot of signs that they were coming back around. You really had this feeling that things were going to change, and it kind of led to this disappointment where you didn't hear from them. They didn't show up. They didn't reach out to you. Maybe they didn't extend condolences to you about something, or wish you congratulations about something that, you know, something you'd been working towards, something very important. And when you reached that pinnacle, you were certain that this person was going to say something. They were going to, you know, make their presence known, and that perhaps that would be, you know, the seed to even start a friendship with one another, or to get this relationship back on track. A sense too of, you know, if this person had chosen to go in another direction in romance, you were certain that, you know, they were going to find out that the grass wasn't greener, that maybe a person they had chosen over you, that things weren't going to work out. Maybe you heard that things didn't work out between those two individuals, that they ended up breaking up, and you were certain that this person would then come back into your life, and you didn't hear from them. So kind of this feeling that, you know, that they're over this connection, they're over it, they're done with it. It's something where, you know, there's too much fear. They feel there's too much water under the bridge. There's too much that's unknown. Too much has happened to be able to really renew this, to be able to salvage this in some way. And so this feeling that they've moved forward in some kind of irreparable manner. Maybe that they consider the circumstances between the both of you irreparable. A fight that happened, something that was said, maybe even a sense of them telling that you came on too strong, that you were wanting too much out of them, that there was too much pressure on them and they needed a break, they needed some space. Only they never came out of that period of needing that break, needing that space. And so it's kind of filled you with this sense of that they're not ever coming back. So kind of a hopelessness there as well of where do you go from here, where to really, you know, rebuild this. How can you both come back from this? Maybe even things that were said or done. And so kind of this inclination that any love they might have had for you has just kind of withered away, has kind of fallen away. The sense that you don't hold a place in their heart anymore, and really making you starting to question if you ever did in the first place. So I'm going to get some tarot to get some clarification about this for you, group 3, about what you think they're feeling about you and the connection. Okay, so we have the Queen of Swords, 3 of Wands, and 9 of Cups. So again, with that Queen of Swords, this energy of really cutting away from this, being done with this, this person really feeling that they have, they're either denying the truth of their feelings for you, or somebody who is unwilling to admit that they were wrong, unwilling to admit mistakes, somebody who is just interested in having a clean break from you, or even a messy break from you, and somebody who is kind of not interested in bringing forth an apology or smoothing things out, or in some way, kind of easing the tension or the disappointment that stemmed through these circumstances. With the Three of Wands, this can talk about somebody who you feel is just looking to other horizons, looking to other things, has completely turned their back on the connection, and is in no way, shape, or form contemplating a renewal of this situation. Their sights are set elsewhere. Their focus is elsewhere. They're only focused on kind of moving forth from this point in time, leaving you with a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of unresolved feelings, or just, again, not willing to entertain the possibility that even a friendship could be salvaged out of this situation. With the Nine of Cups, this feels that you're feeling they're very happy with this. They're very content with the fact that there's separation. They're very comfortable with wherever you have left things. They're happy in the silence. They are not interested in kind of stepping out of the shadows. They are not interested in making their truth known. They're interested in just kind of moving forward and allowing this connection to sort of fall away into kind of distant memory in the past. So I'm going to take a look now at how they are actually feeling and see if it matches up with this kind of energy of detachment, where you think that they are very pleased with these circumstances. You think that this is exactly what they want. This is how they want the circumstances to be, where there's no communication, or things were ended very badly between the both of you, and that they have just moved forward. That it's out of sight, out of mind. You're not in their heart. You're not on their mind. There's no thought of returning to this, only on continuing to move further away. So we'll see if that is in alignment with what they're actually feeling about you, or if in some way what they're actually feeling is different from this energy. And we've got solitude, retreat, introspection, silence, go deep within yourself. Spiritual mission. This connection supports energy healing on Gaia and in higher realms. And imagination. Envision a new reality. Give yourself permission to dream. Believe in unlimited possibilities. So with this energy of solitude, it does seem like this person is really withdrawn into themselves. They could be single at this point in time if they had maybe made a choice between another person and you, and they had chosen another person. It seems that relationship has most likely ended, or is in that process of unraveling. This person really kind of retreating and withdrawing into themselves in a lot of ways. They could also be really going through kind of a dark night of the soul. And so what you are experiencing as silence and disinterest from this person, it feels like that actually has a greater ramification, that in other ways they are really withdrawn and trying to process some things that have occurred for them in their life, some activations that are taking place within them. This feels like somebody who's in some phase of an ascension journey. They don't necessarily feel that they are focused on renewal in this situation. It feels like their energy and their focus is very consumed by what is happening to them on an energetic level. They could have had a lot of tower moments in their life, a lot of things that have fallen away, almost at that critical juncture when they made a choice not to invest in this connection, or to choose to kind of cut away from this. It seems almost like that was the first domino in many things falling away from their life. And so just very generally, it feels that, the fact that they haven't come forward, the fact that they haven't delivered that apology, the fact that they are staying at a distance from you, or staying very cold, this doesn't feel like for, a lack of love. It feels like this person is very overwhelmed in another capacity, that there's a lot that's coming up within them. they may be, not feeling very well because of, these ascension symptoms that they are going through. There's healing that is happening for them at almost a cellular level, at an energetic level. They may be confronting a lot of shadows within themselves, kind of stepping into that upgraded version of self, and just really needing time to themselves to process all of this, being a little bit uncertain about the changes that are happening. Maybe a lot of, with all of this kind of like luminous white energy here, this can be like crown chakra energy, getting a lot of downloads, a lot of psychic gifts that are, really coming online that can be quite overwhelming for this person as well. This person really having a hard time kind of even separating what it is that they are feeling and experiencing, if that's all in their imagination, or, not really knowing what's going on. Somebody who might be kind of at just the beginning stages of really seeking answers for that, really looking into these things. Someone who may have even been trying to kind of question their own sanity at a certain point in time. Might have even gone so far as to, talk to a therapist or even a doctor or psychiatrist about these things, and have really not been able to come to any kind of a concise sort of explanation of what they're experiencing. Maybe a lot of synchronicities happening for this person to where they've chosen to step outside of that more conventional or kind of Western method of an explanation of kind of these the spiritual symptoms of what is happening to them on an etheric level. This person might have turned to spirituality, might have started to pray or meditate, tap into that. Someone who may have come into contact with ideas about spiritual awakening, about ascension symptoms, and is really starting to gain a lot from that. A lot is starting to make sense. A lot is starting to resonate. There seems to be a lot of focus on that, on kind of coming to a place of spiritual health within themselves, doing a lot of clearing and healing as far as their own chakras are concerned. This could be somebody who's, getting Reiki healing from people, or is, practicing some form of meditation, some kind of self-help, investigating kind of self-healing practices, even like shamanic practices to kind of go in and sort of deduce the root of what is being activated within them, what is coming up within them, this energy of overwhelm, this very shadowy energy, and then the light that is seeking to kind of break through and burst through to the confines of who this person was before. So this feels like somebody who is definitely in this stage of transformation within themselves, stepping into that higher version of self, going through this energy of a dark night of the soul, starting to see that light at the end of the tunnel with that. And part and parcel to some degree comes an awareness of this connection. As far as things that they are maybe thinking back on or trying to come to terms with in their life and in their experiences, in some way this connection, the choice they may have made to walk away from this, to push this connection away. It feels like something that they don't want to remain at a distance forever. They're in this process of becoming that can be quite confusing. It can be quite overwhelming. Somebody who's deeply kind of immersed in sort of finding their purpose, finding their path in this light, where they fit, what they resonate with, where they want to go moving forward. Somebody who is, in this process of kind of breaking away from sort of generational narratives, ideas of who they are, how they envision themselves, their role in this life. It's something where even with this energy of dreams, somebody who's starting to dream of kind of a life outside of whatever they had been living up to this point in time, or through this kind of heavy dark energy, this dark night of the soul that they're going through. They're really dreaming. They're really trying to focus on that horizon of an alleviation to what they are feeling, starting to see some kind of relief, starting to see some kind of light at the end of that tunnel, or really seeking that out, seeking guidance, seeking answers. It feels that they're very much preoccupied with that. And it's, investing in the connection or bringing that apology, kind of renewal in this situation. There's renewal that is needing to happen within this person first. There's a transformation that is underway within this person that in some way directly relates to what they are able to bring to you in the future, what what they are able to sustain for, with you in the future. With this idea of spiritual mission as well, this could be something where, they have this sense of knowing that this connection with you is very significant. It's either triggered something, it's activated something, it kick-started that awakening for them. Or it's something to where, they may not exactly know how or why or what, but they have this feeling of significance that at some point your paths will cross again. This feels like something that is just, it's almost a core truth within this person, to where they're not investigating further than that at this point in time. They're not looking deeper into that at this point in time. They're really just, their attention, their psychic energy, their physical, even vitality at this point in time it's so consumed in this process of awakening, of stepping into that next version of self, of really birthing themselves out of whoever they were before, allowing the old and the past to fall away. Kind of this energy here of the hermit with this solitude and going deep within, really withdrawing even from other people in their life, being very almost isolated or just kind of quiet, a lot of introspection going within, seeking answers, praying for guidance. With this idea of dreams though as well, you might be meeting up with this person in the astral realm in dreams. They could be coming to you in dreams with that apology, with that clarity, or just interacting with them in dreams is maybe triggering a lot for you. It's opening that door to some layers of healing that you need to do, that are crucial for your next step of your evolution, of your ascension journey. Some kind of a wound that this person has inflicted or has introduced you to, that resides within you at the core level, that is almost like it's an archetype. It's a greater theme that other instances, including what has happened with them, has really been a manifestation of, that you're being, the circumstances with this person and what has happened, this energy of solitude and separation. It's really an opportunity to go within, to free yourself, to give yourself permission to entertain, a view of life without kind of carrying around that deeply embedded pain. Giving yourself permission to imagine the best version of yourself and stepping forth, doing the work necessary to unearth, to resurrect, to breathe life into that version of yourself, and to kind of bring that out in thought, in word, in deed, in action, and how you are living your life, how you are interacting with others, and most importantly, how you are interacting with yourself. This feels like work that this person is doing. They're starting to do that. A lot of information is coming into them. A lot of energy is coming into them, downloads specifically, that they're in this process of kind of sifting through and sorting through. So I'm going to get some tarot to get a little bit of clarification about this for you. Group 3, about how they're actually feeling about you in the connection. Okay, so we have the Queen of Cups, Judgment, and the Fool. So with the Queen of Cups, this is again talking about that that kind of core truth that they have, that they may not even be able to define as love at this point in time. But it's almost a pinnacle. It's an apex. It's a starting point for something. That they might be, still kind of resistant or preoccupied in other ways from really seeking to decipher, to kind of peel back those layers or to understand. But it is something, this connection, thinking back on the energy between you, it really brings them this sense of peace. With these two doves here, they may, resonate with you as a twin flame, as a soulmate. Maybe they're coming upon information like that in their research, in their studies, in their kind of search for answers about, what is happening with them spiritually and kind of in an etheric level. They hold you in a very special place within them, but it feels like a place that they are not ready, and they don't really have the energy to fully embark on unpacking that, on exploring that further, on doing anything more with this. But this is something where love for you has not diminished over time. As much as you might think it's out of sight, out of mind, you are always in their heart. You have always occupied a very unique place within their heart. It's something that cannot be replaced by others. It's something where, through the heart space and also at the higher self level, the two of you are really guiding each other. You're really helping each other along this process of personal discovery and personal unfoldment. With judgment here, this can talk about a resurrection of the connection, that there is a glimmer of hope within them that, in time, as they kind of move through this very heavy energy, kind of come out of that dark night of the soul, they're starting to see kind of the light at the end of that tunnel. There is this idea that in time, there will be a change of circumstances between the both of you, that this energy of endings, it is not permanent. This person is not viewing this as the end of the story, period. They're almost looking at this as a semicolon, kind of like, for now there is a pause. They are focusing on other things, and there's this intention of commencing things again in some level, reconnecting with you, reaching out to you again on some level. With the Fool here, this energy of new beginnings, they do want a renewal, they do want a fresh start. Almost the more that they come to learn about themselves, the more that they kind of journey through this energy, deepening their relationship with spirit, with source, with their higher self, with their angels, getting in touch with spirituality or spiritual concepts. They're starting to come to a place of recognition about the significance of this connection, and a desire to kind of correct some of the the wrongs they may have feel that they have inflicted upon you, the hurt that they may have inflicted upon you in the past, kind of moving away from this, ending things, going in another direction. There's this idea here of wanting to come back around, wanting to circle back around to this, to have a fresh start, to experience each other, and to really actualize the potential that exists in this connection in a different way than what the two of you had experienced previously. A lot of healing that this person feels is to be experienced in this connection, that first and foremost begins by healing that is being done on themselves. They're starting to see some possibilities as well for what can manifest out of this. Again, the significance of this connection, who you are, and kind of this pivot point, what has been activated for them through this interaction, to where this is not, an over and done with kind of situation. It's just sort of, for now, it feels like their resources in a lot of other ways, their energetic resources are really being consumed in this process of kind of up-leveling and ascension. But with that, there are almost these reminders that are coming in, these little signs, these little synchronicities, these nudges, maybe even meeting with you in dreams, or in an energetic sense that is keeping that, seed alive. There's almost this idea of something that's been like cryogenically frozen that can be revived. It's not over and done with. It's on hold for now. But there is still love for you, or within this person for you. Something that, they understand that they are lacking in the tools at this point in time to really make the most of this connection. But it's something that, that the more they are learning about themselves, the more that they are healing themselves and kind of working through this process of ascension within themselves, they're starting to kind of pick up some tools, some greater understanding, a greater capacity to work with this dynamic, to work with the energies between you. So this feels like somebody who is really appreciating the time that they have, appreciating the space, the gift of space that you have given them. And somebody who might be focused on other things right now, components within themselves and within their life, kind of reimagining all of that. But this is something where, there is this idea of eventually further down the road, a reintroduction between the both of you, maybe just as friends, maybe as, being able to sustain a love that never really came to pass before, or fizzled out at some point in time, or even was sabotaged. This can be somebody who, recognizes some kind of an apology is owed, some kind of an explanation is owed, somebody who doesn't just want to leave the connection where it now stands, but at this point in time just feels that there isn't much that they can do to bring it out of that dormancy in a meaningful way. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you now, group 3, and see what do they want to say. Okay, and they say, right now I just need your love. So again, they're really going through something, some kind of dark night of the soul energy, pretty heavy ascension symptoms even, just feeling very discombobulated, very confused, a lot of strain and pressure upon this person in a lot of ways, being spiritually stretched beyond their comfort zone even. And so they're appreciating that gift of time and space that you have given them, the loving energy that you have sent. Even if you are not in a space where you're willing or able to send that loving energy, just kind of holding them in a very neutral place within you, that this is really benefiting them, so that organically they can kind of go through this process of filtration, filtering out who they are and what they've surrounded themselves with that no longer resonates, to kind of create that space for a more authentic version of themselves to kind of rise and come forth. And they also say, I want to be with you. I choose you. I love you. So that's that seed of love, that core of love that they have for you that has not, it has not perished in the time since you went into separation, since your paths kind of diverged from one another. There is this sense too with this person, by this person choosing to heal themselves, they are also in a roundabout way choosing this connection. That any hope in the future that this connection has to be revived and to grow into something very fulfilling and lasting, it really is contingent on the work that the two of you do on yourself, the work that you do to choose to love yourself through your difficult days and your best days. It's something to where there's also this sense of them, supporting you energetically through your own process of kind of ascension and coming to terms even with what has happened with them. But they're really sensing and feeling the support that comes from you. Even if you're not at a place of being willing or able to do that from kind of your ego perspective, from a 3D perspective, there could be a lot of resentment here. A lot of confusion. It could be really difficult, or it's just part of your stage of growth. What is necessary for your growth to kind of release this as much as possible and move forward, focus your sights elsewhere, to try and close this chapter out. But from the higher self level, you're continuing to support this person. You're bonded with each other. You are sending each other love from those higher realms to step into, alignment with that spiritual mission, that higher purpose, that best version of self in this lifetime. And they also say, I know I ended things badly. Let me make it up to you. So confirmation right there of this person being very aware that what they did was in the past was maybe not the best way to go about things. A sense of knowing an apology is owed, some kind of an explanation is owed, not wanting to leave things where they currently are between the two of you, wanting some kind of a reconciliation in the future, or to at least provide you with some kind of a closure, some kind of a vindication for the actions that they took. It may be a long time coming to that, and everybody has free will. So, this person can continue to choose to embark upon this journey of growth and healing and ascension, or they also have the ability to choose to kind of put the brakes on that, to just kind of get off of that path, not participate in that, to choose to occupy that space of resistance. The longer they resist, the more it just prolongs that inevitable, this kind of up-leveling that wants to take place within them. Feels like a lot happening almost outside of their control, outside of choice at this point in time, like divine intervention, having really needed to step in with this person. And so in a certain way, they're almost surrendering to that process, doing what they can with what they have, really seeking to find clarity and answers to what is going on within them spiritually, within them energetically, within their life, trying to find some kind of meaning, some kind of purpose, some kind of answer, trying to find their place in the world, feeling very dislodged from whatever sort of, whatever they thought their niche was in the world, whatever they thought their kind of role in the world or in their family or, just within themselves, that whole understanding, that knowledge of self, all of that really having been upended and kind of creating equilibrium or a new normal out of whatever the circumstances are they find themselves in currently. This seems to be their main priority at this point in time. But there is this understanding, this idea, and this knowledge that they have that they don't want to just leave things where you left off. Some kind of change needs to happen. Something needs to grow from this. Something needs to come from this. They owe something, some kind of an explanation, or even if it's something where they, choose not to come forward with that. There's an understanding that they want to get to that point where they can send you those loving thoughts. They can kind of reciprocate that loving vibration that you had infused them with for so long, starting to really see and recognize the gift of the connection between the both of you, the gift of the time that they spent with you, of your love and your compassion for them, this gift of time and space that you have given them as well, a sense of gratitude that is building within this person that they're wanting to reciprocate that to you. But at this point in time, it's, there's so much else going on internally with them that kind of planning and strategizing that is not at the forefront of what they are thinking about at this point in time as far as this connection goes. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit for you now about the situation. Okay, and we have intuition. Trust your intuition. So this is really guiding you to kind of look past the surface of what you are seeing, kind of making space not for either or but and, any kind of silence, any kind of void that you are experiencing from this person, either in direct contact, or if you do speak to them on some level and it's just very, short. There's just not a lot of emotion happening there. Respecting that, understanding that as a reality, but also recognizing and making space for the energetic reality, the loving energy that they are able to send to you, the feeling of connectedness that you have with them at kind of the higher self level, connection and dreams. All of that is just as real as whatever is happening in the 3D reality. It is possible for both of these things to be fact. It's not one versus the other, it's both. And through this process of kind of ascension, through this internal work, there's a balancing that is occurring between those two polarities where an alignment is coming in for the two of you individually, both in terms of, your higher self and the 3D expression of that, kind of that alignment of thought, word, action, and deed, making kind of a more concise flow of these things as opposed to, disparities in what is being said versus what is truly felt, what is the underlying intention. Action versus what is being held back on, what is being said or displayed. And so really, leaning into that, trusting in what you're feeling with this candle here. This could be a twin flame, this process of awakening and ascension that you both are on, something you've activated within each other, some kind of a kundalini awakening. Trust that on the other side of the intensity of what this person is going through and what you may also be personally going through or vibrationally kind of picking up, any kind of flux and kind of disturbances that you are feeling within your energy that you might be really questioning, where's that coming from? Trusting that, the way in which you're bonded with this person, you're most likely picking up on these things from them from afar, separating yourself from that energy as much as possible, sending that love and releasing that back to that person, understanding that, just as accurately as you are experiencing inaction from them in the material world, the change in the dynamic flow and the shift that you are experiencing energetically, that is just as accurate as whatever it is they are not displaying to you in the material sense. So really, use your intuition as far as, if this person does return or does reach out at some point in time with some kind of an apology or an explanation or just, trying to get those lines of conversation open again. Trust your intuition if it feels right, if it feels, in alignment with where you are, with where you have come to, because you're still in a process of growth and development. And So what you may want, or what you may feel you do not want at this point in time, that can change in the future. So trying to stay very open-minded about things, and just trusting that at the time, if you cross paths with this person again, trusting what you're feeling, that inclination to, open up, to give this a second chance, to give this person the space to listen to what they have to say. Or if you're feeling, the inclination that, it's just too little too late, too much has happened, too much has passed, or that you've grown into a person that's no longer in alignment or resonance with this individual, at least on the level that you were before, the capacity that you were before, trusting in that above all else. Making sure that, whatever words this person speaks to you, that is in alignment with actions. Really learning to, decipher and feel into energy, and utilizing that as the ultimate kind of cue or navigation system beyond what you are seeing, beyond what you are hearing, trusting in what you are feeling first and foremost. As far as even moving forward in your life, opening up to other loving relationships, finding love in another capacity, or if your intuition is telling you to just continue to hold some space for this person for a little longer. The choice is yours. It's a very individualized thing. Choices can be changed at any point in time, so not putting too much pressure on yourself about, needing to come up with a definitive solution now. Opening yourself up to the possibility that can change. Maybe you need to close yourself off to this connection for a while, but in the future then there could be a rebirth. This could be revisited. You might feel the urge to open up to it again, and there's something to be learned from that as well. So really just trust also on this card with all these hummingbirds, these indicators of kind of messages coming through. Any kind of interaction you have with this person in dreams, anything you're feeling, energetically, trusting in that as much as you're trusting in maybe the lack of that in the 3D sense, coming to that space of kind of balance and equilibrium between the seen and the unseen aspects of this connection, and this dynamic, and, just really continuing to focus on your own abundance, on your own purpose, on your own path. If you resonated as a twin flame and you feel yourself to have some kind of spiritual mission in this lifetime, not feeling that, your twin is required for that they need to be on that same page with you. Following the steps that you're guided to take to come into alignment with that purpose, to really activate that, to bring that out into reality, to begin that work now. And if your twin chooses to do that work, to catch up with you later, to meet up with you and kind of get on that joint program with you, then that's something which, that they can do, and then you can cross that bridge when you get to it. They also have the ability to not make that choice in that lifetime, but you should not allow that to really dissuade you or cause you to hesitate or hold back from something you're feeling very compelled to do. Everyone's kind of responsible for their own healing, and then kind of bringing that healing out in the form of being the change that they want to see in the world. So trust your intuition in terms of aspects of yourself that you're being guided to address and heal, maybe new modalities of healing that you are being guided to explore, to kind of deal with some of the sensations of this that you've experienced in the past or currently, or even some new modalities of healing that this whole experience will kind of unlock within you, that you're being guided to really bring out and to really help others who might be struggling on kind of a similar path. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 3, this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got E, I, X, M, L, W, S, T, K, and V. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry and some divination tools in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.